It's good that Stoltenberg will share this concern with us. Then there is urgent issues. The situation in Russia, unavoidable. It's clear that Putin goes out of this crisis weakened, but a weaker Putin is a greater danger. So we have to be very much aware of the consequences. Everything remains unclear what has happening, who were behind this attempt of military upheaval or military rebellion. Some generals has been arrested, so I suppose that Putin will be in a cleaning mode internally and a more assertive mode. Ukraine has to continue being supported. The only answer that we can do to whatever happens in Russia is to continue supporting Ukraine. And since I am in charge of the European Peace Facility, I will ask the leaders to continue funding it. It's a good news that we already have 3.5 billion more, not only for Ukraine. And we continue our training mission, almost 30,000 soldiers. This is our engagement. We can study what's happening, what Prigozhin is going to do with the Wagner. Us, we have to concentrate on our task, continue supporting Ukraine. Then certainly China and economic security. China and economic security are related issues, but not exactly the same one. Keep in mind that the risking at the end is something that we have to do. It's our duty, it's our job. So it's not about China, it's not something that we have to negotiate with China. It's something that we have to do, knowing that it will take long. So the sooner we start, the better. Latin America, important. Balkans, Kosovo, Serbia. I will debrief the leaders of all my work on those days and ask for their support to continue putting pressure on them in order to avoid escalation and go back to the normal. The member states decided at the last Foreign Affairs Council that measures should be taken economically and politically in order to make them clear that if they don't contribute to the escalation, it comes with a cost.
How should Wagner react to a potential period of instability in Russia? Should we be prepared?
Yes, it seems. It seems that Putin is not the only master in town, and that he has lost what Machiavelli said it's the basis of the state, which is the monopoly of force. Putin has lost the monopoly of force, and certainly unstable Russia becomes also a risk. Until now, we were looking at Russia as a threat because it was force, and force has been used in Ukraine. Now we have to look at Russia as a risk because of the internal instability.
How do you prepare for that? Do you need a strategy? Do you need to
We need
think
that.
about scenarios?
We think about scenarios. We need a deep analysis. That's what, be sure, all intelligence services at the European Union and member states are doing.
Ukraine security guarantees until the membership of NATO. Should the EU provide such security guarantees, and how could they look?
Now we talk about security commitments. Security commitments. From my side, it means that the military support to Ukraine has to have a long haul. It's not just the next 500 million package. It's not the next armed deliverables. It's something that has to be in the long term, during the war and after the war. You have to make Ukraine able to defend. So the European Peace Facility for Ukraine, maybe it has to become a Ukrainian defense fund. The training has to continue. The modernization of the army has to continue. Ukraine needs our commitment to continue ensuring their security during the war and after the war.
How can the leaders risk relations with China while at the same time keeping
The relation with China. Certainly we have to keep our relation with China. Why should not?
You seem to be having
We have to keep our relations with China because, as you know, our trade, investment, and economic relations are so big that it's impossible to think about decoupling. Nobody's talking about it. No? But certainly, this relation has to be based on an understanding. The ministers, the foreign affairs ministers, approve a text and present it to Kimmich, and now this text will be used by the leaders to give more guidance. Yes, China's the three things we said, as a rival, as a competitor, as a partner. We have to operationalize these concepts. What does it mean? Each one of them. How do we put them into practice? But as I said, de-risking is not about China. We don't have to negotiate with China our de-risking. It's our business. It's us internally who have first identified which risk are we talking about, and secondly, how do we proceed in order to decrease this risk? But it is our work. Don't make others be responsible for our line, our fault lines. It's us to put a solution to that.
Are you angry against Hungary that's blocking the last range of the European Pacific?
I am working to deblock. Sorry? Look, on migration, I look at migration from the external side. And the external side is related with the crisis. A crisis tomorrow, somewhere, is more migrants tomorrow. There is a direct relationship between irregular migration, people desperate, trying to reach our shores, putting their lives at risk. It is the answer to some crises. Sudan, for example. Sudan is expelling tens of thousands of migrants. So our work in order to fight against irregular migrations, it starts by engaging and trying to help to avoid conflicts and to support economic development. These are the root causes. Then certainly there is the fight against the smugglers and everything. But from the external point of view, from my portfolio, a crisis tomorrow is more migrants. A crisis today is more migrants tomorrow. So let's try to avoid crisis, and when one crisis erupts, we should have the possibility of supporting them more. Otherwise, you will have migrants.
Is the Wagner crisis over?
The Wagner? Nobody knows what's going to happen with the Wagner. But it would be good that the African people understand what has happened in Russia. They should read the statement by Poroshenko, saying that Wagner went to Africa to stole African people. This is a message from him that should be widespread in Africa. Thank you.
Considering
Mr. Borrell, just one question.